Hello and welcome to the course of manufacturing methods. So now today this is our second lecture. And this in this lecture we will see the our first topic of the module 1, that is introduction to casting. Myself Somabroto Chakraborty from Automobile Engineering Department, Dr. Sudhir Chandra Sur, Degree Engineering College. Now let's start with lecture objectives. So what are the lecture objectives? First, to understand the fundamentals of casting. In this lecture, we will understand the fundamentals of casting. Secondly, to understand the solidification of the molten metal. So casting means pouring and solidification. So solidification is a important phenomenon. So we will see the solidification of the molten metal, including the difference between. We will see the difference between solidification of pure metals and alloys, as well as the concepts such as grain nucleation or homogeneous nucleation and freezing range. After that, we will introspect about the fluid flow in casting with Bernoulli's equation and continuity equation. And these two equations, this Bernoulli's and continuity equation, will be applied to establish a framework for analyzing the molten metal flow through the mold. So this we will see in this lecture. And lastly, the to get an insight of fluidity and the factor which in which fluidity depends. This is what we will see in this lecture. Next, let's start. What is casting? As we said that earlier, the definition of the casting is a process of pouring molten metal into a cavity. Upon solidification, it takes the shape of the cavity. So this is casting. So casting was first used around 4000 BC. I have said in my last lecture that it is the simplest and oldest process of manufacturing. So it is first used around 4000 before Christ to make ornaments, arrowhead, and various other objects. There is wide variety of product that can be cast, and the process is capable of producing intricate shapes or complex shapes in one piece, including with internal cavities such as engine block. So engine block can be cast as a single piece, as a single piece. So this is an example of the casting used in the general automobile. So in automobile, engine block, piston, alternator housing, grill, water pump pulleys, intake and exhaust manifolds, wheel disc brakes, transmission housing, door handles, locks, brake motors, brake cylinders, and differential housing. All those parts can be cast. Now casting are more oftenly used over other manufacturing process due to some reason. What are these reasons? Are the advantage of the casting. So casting can produce complex shapes and can incorporate internal cavities or hollow sections. So what can casting do? Casting can produce complex shapes, can incorporate internal cavities and hollow section. It is very large part can be produced in one piece. It is important. Very large part can be produced in one piece. What is very large part can be produced in? There is many manufacturing processes in which very large part can be produced, but in a single piece production, it is only possible for casting. Casting can utilize the materials and difficult to casting can utilize the materials that are difficult or uneconomical to process by any other means. That means, see, there is a material called cast iron. Cast iron is a brittle material, so you cannot machine any brittle material, because when you try to machine brittle material, we will see that brittle material breaks very fast. So machining of the cast iron is not quite easy. So that's why what cast iron part can be made using only casting. So similarly like cast iron, there is several type of materials which are difficult or uneconomical to process by other means that can be processed using casting, and the casting process can be economically competitive with other manufacturing process. Casting process can be economically competitive. The meaning of this word is economically competitive. The meaning of this word, casting can be of low cost. Casting can be of low cost. Casting can be of low cost. Casting can be of low cost than other manufacturing processes. And one of the great importance of the casting is net shape manufacturing can be possible. Net shape manufacturing is a trending topic in manufacturing, in which we want to get finished or tends to finished product as our as our product. So from casting we can get net shape manufacturing. With modern processing techniques and control of chemical composition, mechanical properties of casting can equal to those made by other manufacturing process. So now casting is also developed. So by development of the casting, it is possible now to have same same level of mechanical property and chemical composition accuracy by controlling and with processing with modern processing technique. casting can be equal Casting can be equal to those made by other manufacturing processes. So now we will see so these are the advantages of the casting and where the places where the casting has been used. So now we will see the basic fundamentals of casting, that is solidification. So casting mainly based on two or three things. First one is solidification of the metal, second is fluid flow of the molten metal, and third is heat transfer. That heat transfer part we will see in the later section of this course. So in this lecture we will only see about the solidification part and the fluid flow part. Now solidification of metals. So metals, after the molten metal poured into the mold, when the molten metal poured into the mold, a series of events takes place. A series of events takes place during the solidification of the metal, and its cooling to ambient temperature occurs. So when the molten metal is cooled to the ambient temperature, there is series of events that takes place. These series of events greatly influence the size, shape, uniformity, and chemical composition of the grains formed throughout the casting. That means that series of series of events which are which takes place during the solidification, they create a specific shape, size, uniformity, and chemical composition of the grain throughout the casting, which in turn influence the overall properties of the material. So see one thing, what is happening, we we pour a molten metal. This is our molding cavity, right? Now we pour a molten metal here. By pouring the molten metal here, molten metal will stay here, and now when the molten metal will is staying here, what happened, it is left to be cooled to ambient temperature. While cooling, there is set of events takes place. This event influence the size, shape, uniformity, and chemical composition of the grains. Grain means the microstructure that is generated while the metal is solidifying, while the metal is transforming its phase from liquid to solid. So at that time the grains are formed. These grains the shape of this grain, size of these grains, and uniformity and chemical composition largely depends on the series of the event that takes place while solidification. So this grain formation, this process of grain formation are influence the overall properties of the material. So how it can be thought? It can be thought. See, in case of in case of cast iron, what we can see, in case of cast iron, there is different type of cast iron. Okay, cast iron means which have iron and carbon. And carbon means when the carbon percentage is more than 2.14% by weight, more than 2.14% by weight, then it is called cast iron. Now, cast iron in general, cast iron is known as grey cast iron, because in general cast iron is grey cast iron. So what is grey cast iron? In grey cast iron, what happened? In grey cast iron, there is in grey cast iron there is graphite, there is the carbon is in the form of graphite, so that's why it will take the appearance like grey. It will take the grey appearance. Okay, now when we add and the shape of the graphite in the grey cast iron is flake like or flake like shape. This flake like shape influence the gray appearance. Okay, now when we add some amount of magnesium while solidification or before casting, so this magnesium influence the chemical composition, in the mold. So the structure of graphite now will be nodular or sphere like this. So now this structure will give the mechanical property ductility. So you can see that by changing the composition, by adding some amount of magnesium, some little amount of magnesium, what we can get? We can get a different product. We can get a different mechanical property. So now we can say that this series of events which takes place while solidification, from this we can say this series of events which takes place while solidification can influence the size, shape, uniformity and chemical composition, which in turn influence the overall properties of the metal. Got it? Now see, next point we will see that solidification mainly depends on, in which solidification depends on the type of the metal, thermal properties of the both metal and the mold, geometric relationship between the volume and surface area of the casting, the shape of the mold. Now solidification is pure metal is different from alloys. So we will see one by one the solidification. So here we can say that solidification depends on the type of the metal, on the thermal properties of the metal and the mold, means heat transfer between the molten metal and the mold. Next is geometric relationship between volume and surface area. This geometric relationship between volume and surface area and solidification or cooling rate or solidification time is given by Carnot's equation that we will see in the later section of this course. And now and another is the shape of the mold, in which shape the mold is made, that influence the solidification. So solidification in pure metal is different from alloys. Okay, so we will see the solidification of pure metal. So pure metal, in case of pure metal, this is a simple phase diagram. This phase diagram we have seen in the phase transformation in our physics class. So this phase diagram, this is a cooling or liquid phase, Now at a fixed point, that is called freezing point, freezing begins, and after some time, after this is the A to B is the latent heat for freezing, and at B freezing end, then the solid is cooled to the ambient. So then the solid is cooled to the ambient. So this place is this is the freezing temperature. This temperature is freezing temperature, and here it is the liquid. Here liquid plus solid state, and here the material is in solid state. Now if we see about the density, now we can say that in case of when it coming to the liquid to solid state, or to freezing temperature, at that time there is shrinkage of the liquid. This is the shrinkage of the liquid, and next there is solidification shrinkage, means while the solidification the shrinkage occurs, and after the solidification shrinkage there is shrinkage in the solid. As the temperature is as the temperature is reduced, so the volume also reduced. This is the properties of the metal. So the solidification front, that means solid liquid interface, moves through the molten metal from the mold wall towards the center. So from the mold wall towards the center, the solidification front moves, and the metals will shrink while the cooling, and also generally also shrink when they solidify. So this is, we all know from the phase diagram, and shrinkage has its importance, and it can lead to micro cracking associated with the porosity, which can compromise the mechanical properties of the casting. So why we should study about the shrinkage? Because shrinkage can create micro porosity, and which in case of which can be my shrinkage can create micro cracking, which can associated with micro porosity or porosity, and which can compromise the mechanical properties of the casting. So this shrinkage of in case of liquid shrinkage, solidification shrinkage, and solid shrinkage, this shrinkage as a whole should be taken care of. This care of this shrinkage will be taken in the will be taken, and how we take care of the shrinkage, this we will see in our next lecture. But here, that remember, this solid shrinkage has its importance because it can compromise the mechanical properties of the casting. Now, by solidification of the pure metal, what we know? We know that solidification front grows from the mold wall towards the center. Now we will see the grain growth, how the grain is growth. At the mold wall, see, at the mold wall that are at the ambient temperature. So this that temperature is much cooler than the molten material. So first, this at the ambient temperature, first the wall of the molten material is cools rapidly and produces a solidified skin or shell. That means this chill zone is produced first. This chill zone is produced first. This chill zone has equiax fine grains. Why fine equiax grain? Because of fast cooling. Because of fast cooling, this portion will have fine equiax zone. This portion will have fine equiax zone. Now after this fine grain, what happened? With time, grains generally grow in the direction opposite to that of the heat transfer, out through the mold. That means, see, see the temperature difference here. See, this is the mold. If this is the mold, the wall, here the temperature is ambient temperature, and the inside temperature is much higher than the ambient temperature. This inside temperature is much higher, but from wall to the center the temperature is decreasing. So that means The heat transfer is into high temperature to low temperature. That means in this direction there is heat transfer. So the grain growth will be from the wall to the center. That means opposite to that of heat transfer throughout the mole. So now we can say that it is opposite to the heat transfer. So now those grains that have favorable orientation. So those grains that have favorable orientation. What do you mean by favorable orientation? Favorable orientation means in the direction of the direction opposite to the heat transfer. That is our favorable orientation. Just right now we have seen that the grain will grow in the direction opposite to the heat transfer. So those grains which have same orientation as desired, that is, those grains are known as favorable orientation. So grains with favorable orientation grow preferentially and are called columnar grains. So these grains are called columnar grains. All these grains are called columnar grains. Those grains are substantially that have substantially different orientation are blocked from the further growth. That means when there is not any grain which have not achieved the favorable orientation, then the growth of that grain has been blocked, so that growth has been blocked. So different orientation is not tolerated in case of solidification of pure metal. Now as the driving force is heat transfer, as the driving force of the heat transfer is reduced away from the mold world, the grain become aqueous and porous. So heat transfer, the temperature difference between the wall and towards the center, that heat transfer is reduced, because see at this point the temperature difference is huge, but at this point the temperature difference is not so huge. So heat transfer is reduced as we move from the edge to the center. The heat transfer is reduced. As a result of this, the grains become aqueous and porous. Heat transfer reduced means the rate of cooling is slow. When the rate of cooling is slow, the grains become porous. Now this process of development, that means that generation of this first generation of chill zone, then generation of columnar grain, then blocking the different orientation of the different orientation grains from the further growth. This process of grain development is known as homogeneous nucleation. That means that the grains grow upon themselves starting at the mold wall, and the direction of the grains will always be from the wall towards the center. Any grain that has different orientation from this said orientation, the growth will be blocked. So this process is known as homogeneous nucleation or directional nucleation. Now we will see the solidification front or solidification in case of alloys. So in case of alloys, there is no fixed freezing point or melting point, but in case of alloys there is two temperature. When the alloys begin, solidification begins when the temperature drops below the liquidus temperature, that is TL. See from the figure it will be clear. So when the temperature drops below the liquidus temperature, that is TL, and it complete and the solidification is complete when the temperature reaches to TS or solidus temperature. When the temperature range within this temperature range, what happens, the alloy is in mushy or pasty state state consisting of the columnar dendrite. So within this temperature range, what happens, the alloy will within this state, the alloy will stay in a mushy state where there is liquid and the dendrite of the solid. Dendrite means directional growth. This needle like structure is known as dendrite. So this dendrite stays, this columnar dendrite will be seen in case of alloy, solidification of alloy in the mushy zone, that means in the solid plus liquid zone. So here there is no freezing point or there is no freezing temperature, but instead there is a range. In case of solidification of the alloy. That range is known as freezing range. See, the width of the mushy zone where both the liquid and solid phase are present is important during solidification. This zone is described in terms of a temperature difference that is known as freezing range. So this is the freezing range, Ts minus Tl. From the figure we can say this range is the, from the figure we can say that this range is the freezing range. Now see, for the most of the alloy, short freezing range generally involves the temperature difference. So short freezing range generally involves the temperature difference. Short freezing range generally involves the temperature difference of less than 50 degrees Celsius, and the long freezing range is greater than 100 degrees Celsius. So ferrous casting generally have narrow mushy zone, whereas aluminum and magnesium casting will have a wide mushy zone. Now cooling rates has a great effect in case of solidification of alloy. When the cooling rate is slow, that means 10 to the power 2 Kelvin per second, then porous dendrite can be formed. So slow cooling rate means porous dendrite. This slow cooling rate, it is not applicable only for alloy, but in case of solidification of pure metal also, when the cooling rate is slow, the grain structure will be porous. But when the cooling rate is fast, that means at the order of 10 to the power 4 Kelvin per second, that will generate fine dendrite, or in case of solid metal, fine grains can form. And very fast cooling rate, that means in the order of 10 to the power 6 Kelvin per second to 10 to the power 8 Kelvin per second, 10 to the power 6 Kelvin per second to 10 to the power 8 Kelvin per second, the amorphous structure will form. Now more detailed structure of the grain and grain growth can be given using the phase diagram for the alloys. So this phase diagram for the alloys, this is not in our scope of the study, but in the next semester you will study material science. When you will study material science, at that time there is a topic called phase diagram. So you can learn from there only. So for now, just remember that in case of solid material, there is a fixed freezing zone where there is a fixed freezing zone, and in case of alloy there is no fixed freezing temperature, but the solidification starts when the temperature falls below the liquidus line and exists up to the temperature above the solidus line. Now above the liquidus line, the alloy is liquid, and below the solidus line the alloy is solid. But in between them there is a range, there is a mushy zone where the alloy stay in liquid with solid dendrites. Now these dendrites, the width of this mushy zone depends on the temperature difference during solidification, and this temperature difference is known as freezing range. is equal to, mathematically freezing range is equal to Ts minus PL. Now we will see the fluid flow in the casting. So for the fluid flow, for the better flow of the fluid in the casting, there is getting system has been designed. So the molten metal is poured through a pouring basin or cup. Then it flows through the gating system into the mold cavity. See from this figure that this is the pouring basin, the material is poured here, then through this system, this is getting system, this is the mold cavity, through this system, this is the casting or this is the mold cavity, through this whole system, the material moves towards the mold cavity. Now this getting system, the first component is sprue. Sprue is a tapered vertical channel through which molten material flow downwards the mold. Molten material flow downwards the mold. So through the sprue, it is a tapered section, so through which it poured downwards the mold. Then after the sprue, there is a well or sprue base well. This sprue base well function as the contamination entrapper or slag. It discriminate the slag or impurities from the molten material. Now after the well there is runner, after the well there is runner. Runner are the channel that carry the molten metal from the sprue into the mold cavity or connect the sprue to the gate. So this and gate are the, what is gate? Gate is the portion of the runner through which molten metal enters the mold cavity. This is gate. And another thing is there, that is riser. Risers, they are also called feeders. They serve as the reservoir of molten metal to supply any molten metal necessary to prevent porosity due to shrinkage during solidification. So what happens when the metal is solidified, that at that time volume of the metal is shrink. Now as the volume of the metal shrink, the casting, the cavity can be hollow. So now to avoid this hollow cavity, which lead to porosity, what we can do, we can use some riser or some feeder to feed molten material whenever necessary. So what are the work of the function of the riser? To serve as reservoir of molten metal and supply any molten metal necessary to prevent porosity during the solidification. Now the importance of the, what are the importance of the gating system? The gating system controls the solidification process. It traps contaminants in case of sand casting such as oxide and other inclusion, and it avoid or minimize problems such as premature cooling, turbulence and gas entrapment. So this is the importance for the gating system. So the fluid flow depends on two equations. First is Bernoulli's theorem and another is mass continuity equation. Okay. So according to Bernoulli's theorem, it is a energy conservation equation. It depends on the principle of the conservation of the energy. Now H1 is the elevation of the first point, P1 is the pressure, rho is the density and G is the gravity. Similarly, V1 is the speed at the first point, G is the gravity. Similarly, this relates this equation. So this equation relates pressure, velocity and elevation of the fluid at any location in the system and the frictional loss in the system that is full of liquid. It can relate them, and this is the Bernoulli's equation. Similarly, mass continuity equation depends on the conservation of mass, that gives us Q is equal to A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. Now we will see the application of these two equations in case of two different case. First one is sprue design. So an application of these two principle of this traditional tapered design of the sprue. So traditional tapered design, this can be done. So when a liquid is free falling, if we open a tap, then the liquid is free falling. Then the cross section area of the stream, the cross section area of the stream decreases as the liquid gain velocity downward. So that means if we use a straight taper, that means, and we pour the material will reduce its cross sectional area as it flows downwards and gains velocity. So there is a hollow space like this hollow space will cause aspiration effect. So this hollow space will cause aspiration effect. Region can develop where the liquid loses contact with the sprue walls. As a result, aspiration may take place. Now, to avoid aspiration, one basic preventive measure is to use a tapered sprue. And the specific shape of the tapered sprue prevent the aspiration can be determined from the pre-discussed equations. So before using Bernoulli's equation and continuity equation. So if we assume that pressure at the top of the sprue is equal to the pressure at the bottom and there are no frictional loss, then the relationship between the height and cross sectional area at any point of the sprue can be given by parabolic relationship, that is A1 by A2 is equal to root over H2 by H1. So how it can be done? See, if this cross sectional area is H1 A1 and height is H1, and here cross sectional area is A2, height is H2. Now if we put the values here and taking P1 is equal to P2, and V1 can be written as 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 Q by V1 can be written as Q by A1, and V2 can be written as Q by A2. Now putting this value here, what we can say? We can say that putting these values here, we can come to the conclusion that A1 by A2 is equal to H2 by H1. From this and from the before two equation, from these three equations, we can find out the different terms that is associated with the fluid flow in the casting. Now we will see in case of another application, that is modeling or mold filling. So in case of modeling or mold filling, what happens? In case of that, the filling, now consider a condition where the molten metal is poured into the pouring basin and it flows through a sprue to runner and gate, and it fills the mold cavity as the pouring basin it fills the mold cavity. Now pouring basin has wide area compared to sprue bottom, so the velocity of the pouring basin can be taken as 0, and the filling velocity or gate velocity can be calculated from the Bernoulli's equation as like this. See, where V is equal to pouring velocity, V is the velocity here, it is V. So V and C is the coefficient factor due to friction, is equal to root 2 G into H, where H is this sprue height. Now when the sprue is somewhat at x distance from the bottom, then the velocity will be V is equal to C into root 2 G H minus X. These are the two cases. So now we will see about the fluidity. The capacity of the molten metal to fill the mold cavity is called fluidity, which consists of two basic factors. First, characteristics of the molten metal. In case of characteristics of the molten metal, viscosity is the first point. So as viscosity increases, fluidity decreases. As the viscosity increases, fluidity decreases. Now surface tension, as the surface tension increases, fluidity decreases. And inclusion, as inclusion or impurity increases in the fluid, inclusion or impurities increases in the molten material, at that time fluidity decreases. Now in solidification pattern, mainly for alloy, if the small freezing range is small, then higher fluidity will be higher, but in case of larger freezing range, it yields lower fluidity. Next is casting parameter. So in case of casting parameter, the the fluidity depends on the mold design, how the mold is designed, so that as the mold design can influence highly the heat transfer. So first point is mold design, next is mold material and the surface. So thermal conductivity and other thermal properties of the mold material and the surface is important for knowing the fluidity or for determining the fluidity. So mold material and the surface. Third point is degree of superheat. Degree of superheating, that means before the metal is poured, is the casting, is the mold is heated or not. This is the degree of superheating. Is the mold is heated? If the mold is heated, then the heat transfer is not so high, because the temperature difference between the mold and the cavity, between the mold and the molten metal will be very less. So due to degree of superheating, the fluidity will change, and due to pouring rate, at which rate the metal is poured, that means the velocity at the time of pouring, that is important. And last one is the heat transfer. This is one of the most important things that we will study in the later section, that how the heat is transferred from the mold, from the molten metal to the ambient. So this heat transfer is also an important parameter for fluidity. Now fluidity can be tested using several test methods, but there is nothing that is accepted universally. One of such common tests, one of such tests where molten metal is made to flow along a channel, that is at room temperature. See, for example, and the distance of the metal flow before it solidifies, the distance of the metal flow before it solidifies and stop flowing is a measure of fluidity. For example, the fluidity using a spiral mold. So we can, for example of the fluidity stress, we can pour the molten metal here in the pouring cup, and we can see how much distance in this spiral mold, does fluid go without solidification, and the length of the passage is the index for fluidity. Greater the length of the solidified metal, greater will be the metal's fluidity. So this is the test of fluidity or spiral test for fluidity. So this is the introduction of the casting. Thank you. We will see about the casting processes and equipment in our next lecture. So for now, thank you. Hope you enjoy this lecture, and if you have any problem, please feel free to contact with me. Thank you.